I'm going to shoot straight with you, and that was a weird way to start a video. But I want to talk about the truth about online LLC services so that you have a full understanding of how these services work so that you can make the best decision for yourself. And I'm also going to talk about this book and why this is so problematic within this industry, where there's so many things happening with misinformation when it comes to helping you get set up with your LLC. So for a little bit of backstory, I have been following the online LLC services for about 3 years now. I have deep dived into so many different services. I've purchased LLCs or attempted to from 7 different services. So I understand the industry really well. But what drives this space is affiliate marketing. Now, if you're not familiar with what affiliate marketing is, basically that is like I say, hey, use Acme LLC. I got a link in the description below. I get a commission. That's fine because a lot of times the price that you get is the same, and then the creator, someone like myself, gets a commission when you use that link. Now, where the problems come in are that a lot of times people aren't being truthful about what the best LLC services are out there. And the reason for that, you guessed it, they're getting paid more by services that aren't as good. So what I want to do in this video is kind of explain how that all works, what you can see to spot things to know when it may be an issue, and then also give you some advice and insights on things that you can do to either save some money on your end or how to approach this situation. So when you go to Google, and we'll skip YouTube for now, and you just search best LLC services, what you see here are your typical ads, and then, now it's like Market Watch, Forbes, CNN, because I want to know about LLC services from CNN. That's kind of weird. But this top one's a great example. So this is the best LLC services of 2024. I can tell you right away from looking at this that this is an affiliate website. So typically how these are ranked is that these services tend to pay more money, and that's why they are in this ranking. All right. Now, all the money that they're being paid is really up to that particular relationship. I'm just taking a guess here, but some of the things that you should know is this one has an advertiser disclosure up here, and it says that it's a free online resource. We make some money, blah, 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 blah. What they're doing here is actually illegal. This advertiser disclosure should be at the top of this page. And that isn't me saying this. This is the FTC. All right. So when you see stuff like that and you don't see a disclosure on there, that's a big red flag. Okay. But then when you start looking at services such as more reputable ones like Market Watch, and then why don't we take a look at what we have here with Forbes? It's kind of interesting because right away you're like, oh, Zen Business, LegalZoom, Northwest, okay, formations. And then you look at Market Watch and you're like, okay, Zen Business, LegalZoom, those seem to be the 2 best ones. But again, this isn't necessarily the actual order, because when you look at the one on Forbes, this is featured partners, and then really small, you see advertisement on here. The way these work right here, this is a carousel, and the highest paying partner gets the first position. But to me, that's pretty misleading as well, because you have best LLC services, and they call this above the fold. It's actually a newspaper thing, right? Like you can kind of think of like a fold like this, and back in the day, you wanted to be above the fold because you'd be able to see this. Well, all you see right here really quick is these are the top 4. And now you'd have to kind of look pretty close to see that advertisement, and then they actually change it up over here. So again, a lot of this industry is being driven by compensation, and it's really giving biased reviews from people. Now, I can actually show you this too. This is pretty interesting if we dive a little bit deeper, and I'm gonna get to this in a second too. In this particular case, let's say Zen Business, they're ranked number 2. When you open up their editor's notes, editor's take, and you scroll down here and you look at like customer service, it says, though I ultimately went with a different company, I still appreciated how helpful and informative they were. Why would you rank a service at all if you haven't actually tried it? But then why would you rank it number 2 without having any idea of what the service is like? Because the issues here with an LLC usually happen after purchase, right? Maybe they screwed something up. Maybe it took 3 weeks for you to get the LLC returned. Maybe their customer support wasn't that great. Because from my experience, customer support is pretty good when you're trying to make a sale, and then after the sale, it gets pretty poor. This is interesting as well, because we talked about the featured partners here for Forbes. There's a really cool website that's called Wayback Machine. All right. And maybe you've heard of this, maybe you haven't, but it just comes up every once in a while. I want to look at something. What they do is they actually archive the internet. So what I did is I put this website in here, but I did it for March of this year. And once you see this right here, featured partner, Zen Business, Northwest, LegalZoom in March, and then somehow in June, just a few months later, it's Zen Business, LegalZoom, Northwest. So what you can see there is LegalZoom moved up a little bit in the last couple of months. And again, that's probably because LegalZoom opened up their budget a little bit, or maybe Northwest pulled back on their budget. And that is why you're seeing these changes right there. Now, this right here, I happened to be on Amazon the one day and I was looking around for different things. I can pull this up here and it have a different cover now. It's the only LLC beginner's guide you'll ever need. Now, I was curious because I'm like, why is somebody advertising so heavily to sell this book, right? And I'll give my wife credit on this one, and I might have to take a picture because you probably won't be able to read it here. But along here, it says the only LLC beginner rules guide you'll ever need. So there's like a big typo, but even more concerning than that is the author. Now, I would never do this. I never put somebody on blast like on a video like this, but you can see Garrett Monroe. All right. So I was like, who is this person? All right. So when you go to to the very back of this book, it's page 163, and it tells you who Garrett Monroe is. And it says Garrett Monroe is a pen name for a team of writers with business experience in various industries like coaching, sales, AI, real estate. I could probably stop at AI because I bet you this book was written with AI. But again, affiliate marketer who's hiding behind a pen name. They have this book because as soon as you open it on the third page, you'll get your little guide here, the QR code that you can scan, and then they're just going to sell you whatever LLC service is paying them the most money. Now, another thing I need to address is I have seen comments online and even on my own content where like, this is a scam. LLC services are a scam. Go through your state website. Now, depending on who you are, this could be true. You could also say that it's a scam to buy butter from the grocery store because you could just churn cream and a few other things in your house and make butter.
Touché.
Does that mean it's a scam that they're charging more for butter at the grocery store? Maybe not the best analogy, but let me break it down right now. Most of these services, I would definitely put in the scam bucket a couple of years ago. That's because there was things going on where there was like a hidden $199 subscription fee that would activate after like 14 days or something like that. There's also things where they were like overcharging. But what I have seen in this industry is the price has come down substantially. The top 3 or 4 rated LLC services that I've looked at in other videos are all doing a $0 plus state fee. Now, what I decided to do though is like, let's actually look at this and see what it costs. There's a link here, bizbuddy.com/LLC-cost. You can also just Google BizBuddy LLC cost. But what I did is I actually took the 5-year total cost. So you can get an idea of like, what are the fees that end up stacking up over time. And those are things such as the registered agent fees, annual report filings. My recommendation for you is any service that's putting you into a subscription to do annual report filing, I find questionable. And the reason for that is there's many states that don't have an annual report due. It's actually biannual. So you may end up be paying for a service annually that's only due every 2 years. The other thing that I would recommend to you right now too is just do a quick search maybe before you get started if there's any kind of discounts afforded to military veterans. The reason I say that is I know in the state of Texas, they will waive the state fee for you. And I think they may even do something with the annual fee as well if you are a veteran. So especially in Texas, if you're watching this and a veteran, don't go through the online LLC services. It'll be cheaper if you go through the other route. A lot of times there's debate for that as well. Like, do you go through these online LLC services or do you go through your state website? The advantage of going through the state website is there's never really an upsell. The only upsell you'll ever see is expedited filing time. The disadvantage is that states' websites typically aren't as smooth as these online LLC services. And the reason for that is it's government versus private business. Private business, they don't make it unless they do something well. So they're going to make sure that the user experience is the best. But one of the cons of the state is, from my experience, is that the state communication is really terrible. I'll get like a receipt for something that I did with the state 4 months ago mailed to me. And I'm like, why are you mailing this to me 4 months later? So when it comes to renewing your LLC, something that in most states you have to do every year, in some states every other year, they're not going to communicate that to you. They're going to leave that on you. And then they're just going to say that your LLC is delinquent if you don't do that. And in the case that you get sued and the attorney suing you finds out that you have a delinquent LLC, They can come after your business and personal assets. The state is just not great about communication. It's not as easy of a tool to use, but you can certainly go through the state website if you want. Me personally, I just know myself. I am not a very organized person. If you could see the camera behind you, you'd see a mess over here on my little filing cabinet. I'm just not very organized. I want somebody to help me with those notifications. So if I'm being honest, I have made content in the past talking about different LLC services without actually using them, because it's a hard thing to review, because you're like, I'd have to open up an LLC, dissolve it. It can be pretty expensive and time consuming. But I decided that I needed to do it in order to be able to give you a proper review of the different LLC services. So what you'll see on the screen right here is a video where I actually purchased an LLC from the top 7 services, and then I show you the results based on turnaround time, cost, customer support, how much did they spam my inbox. So in that video, it's a review based on my experience, not me saying I didn't end up going with that service, but I think it's a 4.2, right? This is based on my actual experience of ordering these LLCs. So I'll catch you in that next video.